All right. We are on page Kufchas. We started coming down, and as we were going, we made sure to mention that this we have to revisit. Many things that we said there need to be elaborated, and so therefore we are going to go back now to the top of this section that really has so much put together that needs to be elaborated on. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start on the previous page, on the very bottom. That starts the whole Indian, and we will try to do as much justice as we can to these phenomenal principles. We are starting on the bottom of page Kuf Zayin again. The de-hinay is boiled in Yilpirei to Zayin with the Chaf Zayin. We explained earlier the Shoroshei Ha'oirois, that the roots of the oirois, of the many oirois, in contrast to oir makif, which represents the oir of the etzem. This is the oirois that emanate in the form presenting with spheros, all kinds of different principles. Chochem, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes. These aspects, these are identifiable from a worldly perspective. So you would think that this is something which originates with the world. This is not representative of the etzem, of Ein Sof. Like we said way back when, that from the Ein Sof perspective, there is sphirot bli gvul, Ein Sof. There is sphirot Ein Sof. He was saying there are 10 spheros. What kind of number is 10 spheros? There is Ein Sof. The answer is 10 spheros. This is how the spheros are relating to world. Therefore, these spheres are not representative of the etzem. Rather, they talk about world. So we are correcting this presumption, this view, apparent view, and we're saying no. Shoroshei ha'oros are also miyochodim ha'etzem, are also united with the etzem. When we say united with the etzem, does not only mean that they are somehow there is kind of a knot connecting, holding them there in abeyance. They connected means that they relate to the etzem, and the etzem relates to the oiris. There is a mutual relationship there. This is how we explained it earlier, and now we're going to be elaborating on this. Shezehu inyan shmi hamiyuchad bi. And we explained there that this is the principle that is expressed by shmi, saying my name. What's mean my name? A name and my name are two different concepts. A name, a person can have a name, a reference name. My name means Hamyuchad Bi, that is united with me and that is actually representative of who I am. And it is of a name that is of the same ilk, so to speak, as I am. And is properly representative of who I am. V'hein, and thus these sphirot, oiris, are what is referred to as described as min hakonov. This is what we explained in this other program. Min hakonov means of the material of the min means the material of the konov. This is, as we explained, a reference to the mitzvah of tzitzis. That in tzitzis you have the garment, and then you have the strings attached to the garment. So these strings have their significance and their, so to speak, hints and so forth, but they are separate attached to the garment. But they say no. These strings have a requirement that they be of the material of the garment itself, because they are actually uniting and representing the garment not as from an external perspective, but from an internal perspective. The garment itself possesses these strings in concept. That's why these strings are made of the same material as the garment. And even after they are made, they continue to represent the garment. Min hakonov. And the same thing, the shoroshi ha'oiros are miyuchad v'yatzim. Miyuchad v'yatzim means not that they originate in unity, but they, as oiros, they are miyuchad v'yatzim. They represent the yatzim. Just as my name, miyuchad me, the name stays alluding to the same, to the yatzim. Thank you very much. Before I start asking questions, this is what we explained, that the min hakonov. At the same time, mikol mokoi, yet still it must be understood that this oir of the oiros, of the sphirot, who it is that status, that state, but the Oyer Ein Sof has projected or judged that in Hoyer Olam is for the sake of illuminating worlds. Yes, indeed, this is illumination for the world, which means this is godliness that is bestowed upon world. It's godliness. But it is a godliness that is suited for the world. That the world can accept this godliness without losing its status as a world. This concept you already know, that it's possible that the Oyer Eliki should completely overwhelm the world. Like we said, the ocean will be omniscient. V'zehu, thus, this explains, points to the principle.
To remain on this call, press 1.
Shehoyer yesh boy sphirot. This explains the significance, the allusion and the principle that the oil has 10 spheres. Why is that 10 spheres? Because the klolus ha'oir because this oil in general, that was the whole principle and the whole phenomenon of this oil, and the aim of the presence of this oil is lahoyer as ha'olam. It is to illuminate the worlds. That's what this oil stands for. V'lulei ha'olames, and if not for the world, these bechinas, these aspects of 10 spheres are totally inapplicable. They have no justification for being. There's no significance to their existence. And it's shayochim. So we have to remember that this Elim Shayochim, this, so to speak, this final disclaimer comes after we said that these oiras are connected to the Etzem. The Minakon. Yet, this is Mikomoken. After this yet, it is exclusively a world orientation and a worldly perspective, something that can be understood from world perspective only. If not for world, Eina Shayochim. Eina Shayochim b'chinas o'elu. This Shayochim, the word Shayochim, this, you can say there is no need for them for this, but Shayochim means it's totally out of whack. They don't belong there. There's no point to these oiras, if not for world. At the same time, we're saying this is what we must not lose track. At the same time, we're saying that this is Nikomokan, that in essence they are connected to the Etzem. And we are instructed here, we are being taught, being shown, and urged to understand both of these sides of this oir. At the same time, one is that it's miyuchad b'dei etzem, and the other is that they are totally applicable if not for world. As it says in Zohar, as follows: that he, Atzmus, is called Choch. B'chol mine Chochmas. He is called Chocham, not Chocham, of one ability, and he's able to understand certain aspects. B'chol mine Chochmas, with every kind of Chochma that exists in the world, he has that. And there the Zohar goes on to list all the 10 spheres. That attributing these 10 spheres to him. He is called a Chacham, he is called a Chosid, and so forth, Chasdom. These are all things which are describing and connecting to him. So, how is this? On the one hand, we say that he is above all of these things. Etzem. On the other hand, he said that these things actually are alluding to him and the proper reference to him. Elo. However, the principle in this is Koidem de Bora Almo, that before he created the world, Iskirihu b'cholin dargin. He is called by all the Madreiges Al Shem Burion, because of them in anticipation of them being created. The Havasid the Hiboris that are due to be created. Dila Barin the Almo, for if not the creation of the world, Amayikri Chochom Rachum. Why is it called Rachum? Rachum applies only when there is application of the word Rachum, of the principle of Rachum, of mercy. V'hainu, which means to say, the Zohar concludes over here after the whole discussion, Shekol who has a sphere is hin, that all the 10 spheres are for the sake of the world. Meaning the 10 spheres are representing world. There is no point of these spheres if not for world. They're all in conjunction and in relationship to world. That's what the spheres are. Again, I'm going to bring back what we just now said. I don't want it should be lost between the fingers. Yes, indeed, these 10 spheres are the same elements, but he is called by these 10 spheres before the world was created. Because the the phenomenon of creating the world pre-exists the creation of the world in him. There's an essential union in him that he would create world. And this is why he has all, it's appropriate to refer to him with all these spheres, because by inferring the eventual creation of the world. There is a very interesting interrelationship there, and unity. This is just world, but this just world is one with it. All the 10 spheres are at the end of the fourth line from the top. All the 10 spheres are a tzedek or elements are for the need, for the sake of the world. And as I said, we should not lose track to where we're coming from. They're all the tzedek or elements, but where are they? They're in Atzmut itself. In Atzmut itself, there is this which is the tzedek or elements. And we're going to discuss in some detail. Kumei Bechinas HaMalchus. As for example, Bechinas HaMalchus, the aspect of Malchus. Hare, clearly, behold, Inyan HaMlucha, the phenomenon of Mlucha Shayak She'esham Davki. It's applicable and it's possible. The whole concept of Melucha exists only Ksheyesh Am Davke. When we say the word exists, we have to translate correctly certain words, Anun's words. It's not exists in a practical sense. It's applicable. The concept has meaning. Ksheyesh Am Davke. Melucha has meaning, the concept of meaning Melucha has meaning only when there's a nation. Ukemaimer, and as it is said, Ein Mela B'lo Yam. There is no such a thing as Melech, as a king, B'lo Yam, without a nation. The inference and the meaning of this phrase, Ein Melech B'lo Yam, is not to infer that if there is a Melech, then there must be an Am someplace in the background other than the Melech, otherwise the Melech would resign, so to speak. There's no point of him being a Melech. Ein Melech B'lo Yam does not refer to the practical state. When if he's a Melech, then it has to be an Am. If there's a Melech, there's a Melech. The concept of melech doesn't exist without an am. Let me explain what I'm trying to emphasize over here. You go and you want to buy a car. Where do you go to buy a car? By the car manufacturer, by the car company, or in a storage, or whatever it is in the garage. The car stands there before you came to buy it. And when you go there and look at the car, what is it called? It's a car which is not owned by any individual person. Does it have a different influence, a different name, or is it called a car? It's called a car. This in that the car is called a car, is that an essential description of the word car, of the car, or it has some other inferred relationship? The whole concept of the term car is a term only because it can transport human beings. On its own, without this interrelationship, there is no such concept. Forget about the need. The concept doesn't exist. So even though you can go to a showroom and buy a car, this car at this point is not owned by another human being, So why is it called a car? Because it was built to be purchased by a human being. The anticipation of the human need, not only anticipation, but preempting that need. This is the meaning Ein Melech B'lei Am. There is no Melech without an Am. Means there could be a Melech, practically speaking, without an Am. But that's the Melech preempting the existence of an Am. In other words, the Melech is a real entity. Melech is not a precarious existence that is declared by the presence of the Am. It's a real principle. This real principle is inherently interrelated to the principle of Am, of a nation. They're both true in themselves and intrinsically interrelated. This means a melech b'lo yam.
They're both true unto themselves and intrinsically related.
Interrelated. Melech is a real entity. And Am is a real entity. Because Melech is a real entity, this is why Melech demands that be an Am. Because an Am is a real entity, therefore Am demands that there be a Melech.
You may think an is a prerequisite for a melech, but we're saying opposite. We're
Saying both.
uh,
An wants that to be a melech. And a melech wants that to be an am. And even though a melech lo yam, there is not a clear path of cause and effect. A melech is a supreme quality. And this supreme quality has a certain presence, an independence of presence. But this independence has phenomenal effect and inspiration for the Yam. It's an inspiration of an independence to the Yam. That's what the melech, which the melech bestows to the Am, is not of a secondary nature of the melech. The melech gives the Am the melech quality, melech principle. What is the melech principle? The melech principle is dependent on the Am. That's what I'm saying. Melech principle is a principle unto itself. And this principle demands that be an Am. He creates the Am. Because this principle is of such phenomenal truth, he creates the Am. So let's continue. This is clear, very, very subtle principles, but it really behooves us to give it a thought. Let's continue, and this is the end of the fifth line from the top. Vesibas horotze the izhavos ho'elamis, the siba, which means the cause, for the will that there should be to create world. Who it is mipnei she'ola birtzoino yano emloich, because it arose in his will, ano emlich, I shall be king, I shall reign. Which means that the rotzon al melucho and I shall be a king preceded the being an am. There was no world to begin with. The whole way, the rotzon that is havas or ilmes is because there was a rotzon ano emlich. Ano emlich is a rotzon, is a reality unto itself. This reality created the need for world. Ve'im melech b'lo yam, because there is no melech b'lo yam. Al kain. Thus, because he wanted to be king, and a king, but Taranam is not a king. Thus, al kain. For this reason, all of birtzoino yizbarach liyasei lomas. This is why the rotzon of that there should be world surfaced. All means it arose, it surfaced. The rotzon to be surfaced as a result of his will to in the initial rotzon anu emlich.
we're probably going back and forth, but here it does seem like being the king is primary. He creates the people on account of wanting to be king. Ana emloch comes first.
Yeah, but what does ana emloch mean? Ein melech b'lo yam.
Right, but the king is primary, and then he creates the people to rule over it.
No, 1 second. Within this primary element, there already exists
Yeah.
The Am. So
okay.
which is primary?
Mibnei she'ala b'ritzonon, so, okay. You first said the Ratzon, but okay. On account of the Ratzon, so he makes the people.
In the Ratzon that there should be a Melech, there's a very inherent dinion that there should be an Am. Because a Melech is not, the whole definition of Melech is that there is an Am. These are clearly very, very subtle, and it behooves us to think into it and understand what it is about. What it's about is not the point, but how do we understand it?
Right. Right.
All of it's in the Melech. Bein Melech B'layam. So in this Ratzon is already inherent dinion from an Am. So which comes first?
Chicken.
Could be?
Chicken.
The chicken comes before the egg, right? Really? Why would the chicken lay an egg if there was no chickens?
So there'll be
Chicks.
There'll be chicks.
Yeah. Okay. So which one is first?
The chicken.
Well,
Okay. So here's the principle.
roses.
Here's the principle. How do you approach understanding this type of insights? We have no time to go too much. I just want to pose the following question. I think I'll take it on a very simple, low level. Human being was initially created in the world, right? Because if Gan Eden, Lord will put a man in the Gan Eden. The Abdul Shomra, in order to take care of the Gan Eden, Adam Harishi needed the facility of moving around. So he needed legs. He needed the Koyach HaHilach. So he needed very simple faculties to walk around. In order to walk around, you need the legs. In order to the legs should be able to function here, they need the koyach hahiluch. And that his seichel, his nefesh, should be able to relate to walking and to moving. So which came first? His ability to walk or his task as a human being?
His task.
How can you give him a task that he's not able to fulfill?
You can't.
What?
You can't give him a task that he's not
So,
able.
so what came first?
The task, the desire for somebody to do a task. And then you
How can
empower him.
how can you give him a task when he's not able to fulfill it?
Right, so you empower him, you give him the power to fulfill it.
When you give him the task, does he know what you're talking about? He doesn't have the ability to move around. Take care of this field. He doesn't even know what you're talking about.
So the point here is that that it's embed that the one seems that the one seems primary, but it's embedded. They're embedded together.
Right. This embeddedness, you have to give it a good thought.
Entanglement.
Entanglement, embedded, connected, contained within. What does this containment mean? This is, I gave an extremely simple, low-level illustration. The truth is that all 613 faculties of the human being all define the human being. And if he's missing anything, he's called a balmum. He's a blemished human being. Does a human being need all the 10 toenails to function as a human being? Toenails, I'm trying to say. Halachically, a kohen by whom that toenail is damaged is a balmum. What? How is it balmum?
Wait, so what the point there is that they're not needed functionally, but yet they're part of the completeness.
Yes, and therefore, in order to phrase it correctly, you have to go back. What is the definition of a human being? The term human being. A certain perfection. A human being represents in concept he is perfect. He's got nothing that is an afterthought. His function was given to him because he's so perfect, because he encompasses the whole world.